The ship shook violently. Alarms blared throughout the metal corridors. Zarevex grabbed the wall to keep from falling. Her violet skin, once bright with glowing patterns, now looked dull under the red emergency lights. The heavy metal collar around her neck felt tighter than usual. Slave, get to the navigation bay now. Captain Drenmore's voice came through the collar, sending a painful shock down Zara's spine. Zara had once been a commander, respected and feared across 3 star systems. Now she was nothing but property, all because she had discovered the truth about the Azuri Dominion's council and their plans. She ran through the narrow hallway of the mining ship. Other slaves, mostly Azuri like her but some from other worlds too, pressed themselves against the walls to let her pass. None would meet her eyes. They knew who she had been. They knew what happened to those who challenged the council. The ship rocked again as Zara reached the navigation bay. Through the large viewing window, she could see the problem. The asteroid field they were mining had suddenly changed. Rocks crashed into each other, creating a deadly storm of debris. This wasn't natural. Something was causing it. Fix this now or I will increase your collar to level 5, Captain Drenmore hissed. His blue skin was darker than most Azuri, and the patterns that covered his face glowed an angry red. Zara moved to the navigation controls. The neural dampener collar limited her natural telepathic abilities, but she could still feel something strange about this asteroid field. Something was pulling the rocks, creating a gravity well where none should exist. We need to leave immediately, she said, her voice rough from disuse. Slaves weren't supposed to speak unless asked a direct question. Drenmore slapped her across the face. You give no orders here, traitor. The ship's alarms grew louder. A rock the size of a transport vehicle smashed into their left engine. The impact threw everyone to the floor. 30 seconds until critical system failure, the ship's computer announced in its calm voice. Drenmore finally understood the danger. All hands to escape pods. Salvage what mining crystals you can. Chaos erupted as crew members scrambled to save themselves and the valuable cargo. No one paid attention to Zara as she slipped away from the navigation bay. She knew Drenmore would take the captain's escape pod, which was larger and better equipped than the others. The rest of the crew would fight for the remaining pods. The slaves would be left to die. But Zara had not survived this long by accepting her fate. There was one more escape pod, small and hidden, that the captain kept for emergencies. During her months of slavery, Zara had mapped every inch of this ship in her mind. She knew where it was. As the ship broke apart around her, Zara ran to the lower deck. The small pod was there, untouched. She pulled the emergency release lever, and the door slid open. Inside was barely enough room for one person, but it would have to do. The ship gave another violent shake. A support beam crashed down, narrowly missing her. Zara climbed into the pod and began the launch sequence. Her fingers moved quickly over the controls. The neural dampener sent painful shocks through her body whenever she tried to think too much or act independently, but Zara pushed through the pain. She had endured worse. Just as the pod doors were closing, a hand grabbed the edge. Drenmore's face appeared, twisted with rage. You think you can escape me, slave? He snarled, trying to force his way in. The council wants you dead. I've kept you alive because you're useful, but that ends now. Zara kicked at his hand. The council is corrupt. They plan to attack the humans without provocation. Millions will die in a war nobody wants except those who profit from it. Humans are vermin. Drenmore spat. They deserve extermination. The ship lurched again. A wall of fire rushed down the corridor behind Drenmore. In that moment of distraction, Zara slammed her fist on the emergency release button. The pod door cut down with tremendous force. Drenmore pulled his hand back just in time, howling with rage as the pod sealed shut. The small craft shot away from the dying ship. Through the tiny window, Zara watched as explosions tore through the mining vessel. Escape pods jettisoned in all directions, but many weren't fast enough. The ship's main reactor detonated in a blinding flash of light, consuming everything nearby. Pain shot through Zara's neck as the neural dampener detected her relief at escaping. The device was designed to punish any positive emotion not related to serving her master. She gritted her teeth and focused on the pod's navigation system. The nearest planet was a human colony world called Nova Haven. Humans and Azuri had an uneasy peace at best, open hostility at worst. If she landed there, she would likely be killed on sight. But it was her only chance. With the last of her strength before the neural dampener fully activated, Zara programmed the pod to travel toward Nova Haven. Then darkness took her as the collar sent her into unconsciousness. On Nova Haven, Olivia Reese sat at her monitoring station and yawned. Working the night shift at the Planetary Defense Center was usually boring. Most nights she just watched the scanners and made sure no space debris was on course to hit the colony. Tonight was different. Something had caused a massive energy spike in the nearby asteroid belt. Now her scanner showed multiple small objects heading toward Nova Haven. Probably just debris, her supervisor would say if she reported it. He always said that. Sometimes he was right, but one of the objects was moving differently than the others. It had a controlled trajectory, adjusting its course to avoid obstacles. That wasn't debris, that was a ship. Protocol said she should alert her superiors immediately. Any unidentified craft approaching Nova Haven was to be considered hostile. The colony's defense systems would lock on and destroy it before it entered the atmosphere. Olivia's finger hovered over the alert button. Then she noticed something else. The craft was sending out a faint distress signal, not in any human frequency or code, but definitely a call for help. Making a decision that would change her life forever, Olivia logged out of her station. Instead of triggering the alert, she noted the projected landing coordinates in her personal device. The small craft would touch down in the forest about 20 miles from the colony perimeter. She could reach it in her off-road vehicle before anyone else even knew it was there. As Olivia drove through the dark forest roads, she wondered if she was making a terrible mistake. Tensions with alien civilizations were at an all-time high. There were rumors of an impending war, but something about that distress signal had seemed desperate, almost personal. The sky lit up as the small pod entered the atmosphere. Olivia tracked its fiery descent until it disappeared behind the tree line with a distant crash. She pressed harder on the accelerator, heading toward the column of smoke rising above the trees. Whatever, or whoever, was in that pod, Olivia would be the first to find it, and that decision would either be the best or the last one she ever made. Olivia's off-road vehicle couldn't make it through the dense trees. She parked it and continued on foot, following the trail of broken branches and scorched earth. The smell of burning metal and strange chemicals filled the air. After 15 minutes of hiking, she found it. The small pod had carved a long trench in the forest floor before coming to rest against a massive tree. Steam hissed from its damaged hull. It was unlike any escape pod Olivia had ever seen. Definitely not human design. Olivia approached carefully, her hand on the small pulse pistol at her hip. All colonists on Nova Haven were trained to use basic weapons. Threats could come from the planet's wildlife or from the skies. The pod's door had been partially torn off in the crash. Olivia peered inside, using her flashlight to see through the smoke. What she saw made her gasp. A woman, or at least a female-looking alien, lay unconscious inside. Her skin was a deep violet color with faint patterns that seemed to glow and then fade. Around her neck was a metal collar with blinking lights. Blood of a strange bluish color leaked from a wound on her forehead. "Hello?" Olivia called. "Can you hear me?" The alien didn't respond. Olivia hesitated. Protocol was clear. Report any alien contact immediately. But something about the metal collar around the alien's neck bothered her. It looked like a restraint device, not jewelry or technology a person would choose to wear. Making another snap decision, Olivia reached into the pod and checked for a pulse. The alien's skin felt surprisingly warm, almost hot to the touch. There was a pulse, but it was weak and faster than a human's would be. "I'm going to help you," Olivia said, though she wasn't sure if the alien could understand English. "But I need to get you out of here before someone else finds us." The alien was heavier than she looked. Olivia struggled to pull her from the wreckage. Once she had her clear of the pod, she noticed more details. The alien wore a simple gray jumpsuit with no markings or insignia. There were scars on her wrists and ankles, as if she had been bound tightly for a long time. And the collar, now that Olivia could see it better, was definitely a control device of some kind. She'd seen similar technology used on violent criminals in the inner planets. This wasn't a soldier or an invader. This was a prisoner, or worse, a slave. Olivia couldn't carry the alien all the way back to her vehicle. She needed to hide the pod and come back with something to transport her. Looking around, she gathered large branches and covered the pod as best she could. It wouldn't fool anyone looking closely, but it might prevent the pod from being spotted from the air. "I'll be back," she told the unconscious alien. "Try not to die, okay?" Olivia ran back to her vehicle and drove it as close to the crash site as possible. Then she returned with a collapsible stretcher from her emergency kit. It took all her strength to get the alien onto the stretcher and drag her to the vehicle. As the sun began to rise, Olivia drove toward her cabin. She lived alone on the outskirts of the colony, preferring the quiet of the forest to the busy settlement. Now she was thankful for her isolation. No one would see her bringing an injured alien into her home. Inside her cabin, Olivia cleared her dining table and laid the alien on it. She gathered medical supplies and began cleaning the head wound. The alien's blood was thicker than human blood, with a sweet smell like overripe fruit. While Olivia worked, she studied the collar more carefully. It had no visible lock or clasp. Small lights blinked in patterns around its circumference. When she touched it, the alien's body tensed and a small whimper escaped her lips. "I'm sorry," Olivia whispered, pulling her hand away. "I don't know how to remove it without hurting you." The head wound wasn't as bad as it had looked. The blue blood had already begun to clot. Olivia cleaned it and applied a bandage, then checked for other injuries. There were bruises and old scars all over the alien's body, but nothing else that needed immediate attention. Olivia covered the alien with a blanket and sat back, wondering what she had gotten herself into. Harboring an alien could be considered treason, especially with rumors of war spreading through the colony. But leaving an injured person, alien or not, to die went against everything Olivia believed in. "Who are you?" she asked the unconscious figure. "And what am I supposed to do with you now?" Hours passed. Olivia called in sick to work. She couldn't leave the alien alone, and she definitely couldn't tell anyone about her. As the day wore on, she began to worry. The alien showed no signs of waking up. Her breathing was steady but shallow. Olivia was checking the bandage when the alien's eyes suddenly opened. They were entirely black with small points of gold light that seemed to move and swirl. Those eyes fixed on Olivia with an intensity that made her step back. The alien tried to sit up but was too weak. She looked around frantically, her hands going to the collar around her neck. When she saw Olivia, she froze. "It's okay," Olivia said, holding up her hands to show she meant no harm. "You're safe. I found your pod and brought you to my home. You're injured, but you'll be okay." The alien watched her warily. Then, to Olivia's surprise, she spoke. "Where am I?" Her voice was raspy and accented, but the words were clear English. "You're on Nova Haven, a human colony world." Olivia took a cautious step forward. "My name is Olivia Reese. Can you tell me who you are?" The alien's hand went to her collar again. She seemed to struggle with herself before answering. "Zaravex, former commander of the Azuri Dominion Elite Guard." Her voice was flat, as if reciting a memorized phrase. "Now property of Captain Drenmore of the mining vessel Darkstar." Olivia frowned. "Property? You mean you're a slave?" Zara finished for her. "Yes, criminals in the Dominion are not imprisoned. We are made useful. What was your crime?" Zara's strange eyes seemed to look through Olivia rather than at her. "I discovered the truth. About the Council. About the war they want with your people." "War?" Olivia's stomach clenched. So the rumors were true. Before Zara could answer, the collar around her neck lit up brightly. Her body went rigid and a cry of pain escaped her lips. She clutched at the collar, her face contorted in agony. "What's happening?" Olivia rushed forward but didn't know what to do. "How can I help?" Through gritted teeth, Zara managed to speak. "The dampener punishes independent thought. Talk of the Council is forbidden." After several terrible seconds, the lights on the collar dimmed. Zara slumped back, breathing heavily. "I'm sorry," Olivia said. "I won't ask about that again." She hesitated, then asked, "Is there any way to remove the collar?" Zara shook her head weakly. "It is bonded to my nervous system. Removal means death." She looked at Olivia with sudden urgency. "You should not have helped me. When Drenmore finds me missing, he will come looking. Anyone harboring me will be killed." "Let me worry about that," Olivia said with more confidence than she felt. "Right now you need to rest and heal." Zara studied her with those strange black eyes. "Why would you help an Azuri?" "Our peoples are enemies, are we?" Olivia asked. "Because from where I'm standing, it sounds like your people enslaved you for trying to prevent a war with mine. That doesn't make you my enemy." For the first time, something like surprise crossed Zara's face. Then, unexpectedly, her lips curved in a small smile. "Perhaps you are right, Olivia Reese, but your kindness may still get you killed." "Well," Olivia said, returning the smile, I've always been told my kindness would be the death of me. Might as well make it count. She brought a glass of water to Zara. Now drink this and rest. We'll figure out what to do next when you're stronger. As Zara drifted back to sleep, Olivia sat by her side and wondered what she had started by bringing this alien into her home. One thing was certain. Her life would never be the same again. Days passed as Zara slowly regained her strength. Olivia continued to call in sick to work, using her accumulated leave time. She knew she couldn't keep this up forever, but for now it was the only option. Zara proved to be a complicated houseguest. The neural dampener collar caused her pain whenever she tried to share too much information or experienced positive emotions. Even simple things like enjoying a meal or feeling grateful for Olivia's help would trigger the device. It is designed to make slaves dependent on their masters, Zara explained one evening as they sat by the fireplace. Pleasure comes only from serving. Independence brings pain. Olivia studied the collar with growing hatred. There must be a way to disable it without killing you. Many have tried, Zara said. None have succeeded. She looked away. Even if it were possible, Drenmore would find me. The collar contains a tracking device. It is inactive now because of damage from the crash, but it will eventually repair itself. Olivia hadn't considered that. How long do we have? Days, perhaps a week. Zara's strange eyes met Olivia's. When it activates, you must turn me over to your authorities. Claim you found me and were about to report it. They might spare your life. That's not going to happen, Olivia said firmly. I'm not giving you back to the people who enslaved you, and I'm not handing you over to people who might kill you on sight. Zara tilted her head, studying Olivia with curiosity. You are strange for a human. Most of your kind fear what is different. Most of your kind apparently enslave their criminals instead of helping them. Olivia countered. Doesn't mean all Azuri are like that. Doesn't mean all humans fear aliens either. A hint of a smile touched Zara's lips before the collar detected it and sent a shock through her body. She gasped in pain. Olivia reached out instinctively, taking Zara's hand. We need help. Someone who knows technology better than I do. Who would help an Azuri during times like these? Zara asked once the pain subsided. Olivia thought for a moment. I might know someone. But first we need to make sure you can leave the house without being seen. The next morning, Olivia brought out some of her own clothes for Zara to try on. They were too small for the taller alien, but a large hooded coat covered her well enough, with gloves to hide her violet hands and the hood pulled low to shadow her face. Zara might pass for human at a distance. We'll go after dark, Olivia said. Less chance of running into neighbors, but their plan was interrupted by a knock at the door. Zara immediately tensed, moving silently toward the back of the cabin. Olivia approached the door cautiously and looked through the peephole. It was Samantha Wells, her closest neighbor, standing on the porch with a covered dish in her hands. Just a neighbor, Olivia whispered to Zara. Stay hidden. She opened the door with what she hoped was a normal smile. Samantha, what a surprise. Samantha, a middle-aged woman with graying blonde hair, smiled back. You've been sick for days. I thought you might like some homemade soup. She tried to look past Olivia into the cabin. Can I come in? I haven't seen you in a while. Actually, I'm still pretty contagious, Olivia said quickly. Doctor's orders to limit contact. But thank you for the soup. That's really kind. Samantha didn't move. Her smile faded slightly. Olivia, people are talking. Nobody's seen you for days. You missed the town meeting about the alien threat. And Bill from the general store said you bought enough food for 3 people last time you were in. She lowered her voice. Are you in some kind of trouble? Is someone forcing you to stay inside? Olivia almost laughed at how close yet how far from the truth Samantha was. No, nothing like that. I just had a bad case of the flu. I'm feeling better now. Should be back to normal in a day or two. Samantha didn't look convinced. Well, if you need anything or if there's something you want to tell me, I'm right down the road. She handed over the soup container. The news said to report anything unusual. Unusual lights in the sky, unusual people around. They say Azuri spies might be infiltrating the outer colonies. I haven't seen anything unusual, Olivia lied. But thanks for the warning. After Samantha left, Olivia locked the door and leaned against it with a sigh. That was close. Zara emerged from hiding. She suspects something. Samantha's harmless, Olivia said, but she wasn't entirely convinced. Fear made people do strange things. And with rumors of war spreading, fear was becoming the colony's primary emotion. That night, they prepared to leave. Olivia packed some food and basic supplies. She helped Zara put on the disguise, carefully arranging the hood to hide her face. "Where are we going?" Zara asked as they slipped out the back door. "To see a friend." Well, not exactly a friend, more of an acquaintance with useful skills. Olivia led the way through the dark forest. "His name is Alan Nguyen. He used to work for the colony's research division until they kicked him out for some controversial experiments." "What kind of experiments?" "He was trying to integrate alien technology with human systems. The colony leadership thought it was too dangerous, might attract unwanted attention from other species." Olivia gave a short laugh. Turns out they were right to worry about aliens, just not because of Alan's work. They walked for over an hour, staying away from the main paths. Eventually, they reached a small clearing where a dome-shaped structure stood. Unlike the wooden cabins and prefab houses of the main colony, this building was made of metal and appeared to have been assembled from scavenged parts. Olivia approached and knocked on what seemed to be the front door. After a long moment, lights came on inside, and a viewing panel slid open. A pair of dark eyes peered out. "Who is it?" a suspicious voice called. "Alan, it's Olivia Reese from the Defense Center. We met at the Technology Exchange last year. I need your help." The eyes narrowed. "The colony sent you to bring me back, didn't they?" "Tell Governor Monroe I'm not interested in their offer. My work is my own." "The colony didn't send me," Olivia said. "I came because I need help with something. Unusual. Something only you might be able to fix." "What kind of unusual?" Olivia glanced at Zara, then back at the viewing panel. "Alien technology. Specifically an Azuri neural dampener collar." There was a long pause. Then multiple locks clicked and the door swung open. Alan Nguyen was a small man with wild black hair and eyes that never seemed to stop moving. He wore stained coveralls covered in tool pouches. "An actual Azuri dampener?" he asked, excitement clear in his voice. "Where did you get—" He stopped as he noticed Zara standing behind Olivia. Even with the hood, there was no mistaking her alien posture. Alan's eyes widened. "You brought an Azuri here? Are you insane? There are search parties looking for an escaped alien all over the forest." "Search parties?" Olivia felt her heart sink. "Already?" Alan nodded rapidly. "A diplomatic ship arrived yesterday. Azuri officials claiming one of their dangerous criminals escaped in this area. They've convinced Governor Monroe to help them search." He looked at Zara with a mixture of fear and fascination. "Is that her? The escaped criminal?" "She's not a criminal," Olivia said firmly. "She's a political prisoner. The collar is a slave device." Alan's expression changed. "A slave?" "The Azuri officials said nothing about slavery. They said she was a murderer." Zara stepped forward and lowered her hood. Alan gasped at the sight of her violet skin and black eyes. "I was Commander Zaravex of the Elite Guard," she said. "I discovered corruption within our ruling council. They plan to attack human colonies. I was sentenced to slavery for trying to prevent war." The collar immediately activated, sending shocks through her body. Zara stumbled and Olivia caught her before she fell. "See?" Olivia said to Alan. "The collar punishes her for talking about it. Would they do that to a real criminal? Or to someone trying to hide the truth?" Alan stared at the collar with newfound interest. "Bring her inside. Quickly." Once inside Alan's strange home, they saw it was filled with technology. Workbenches covered in tools and half-finished devices lined the walls. Screens displayed scrolling data and diagrams. Alan cleared a space on one bench. "Put her here. I need to examine the collar." As Alan began scanning the device with various instruments, Olivia explained everything that had happened since she found Zara's escape pod. "The neural dampener is connected to her nervous system," she finished. "She says removing it would kill her, but it also has a tracking device that will activate soon." Alan nodded absently, already absorbed in his examination. Fascinating technology. Cruel but fascinating. He looked up at Zara. "May I ask how it works? Just the technical aspects, not why you're wearing it." Zara hesitated, then spoke carefully to avoid triggering the device. "It reads brain patterns, detects thoughts and emotions not aligned with obedience, then stimulates pain centers while suppressing pleasure centers. And the tracking function? Secondary system. Uses quantum entanglement to communicate with master device. Currently damaged but self-repairing." Alan's eyes lit up. "Quantum entanglement, really? That's years beyond our technology." He turned to Olivia. I might be able to disable the tracking system permanently. The pain function will be harder, but I have some ideas. How long will it take? Olivia asked, glancing nervously at the windows. For 3 days, Alan worked tirelessly on understanding the neural dampener. Olivia and Zara stayed inside his dome-shaped home, watching anxiously as search drones flew over the forest with increasing frequency. They're getting closer, Olivia said, peering through a small window. I think they've figured out the general direction of the crash site. Alan barely looked up from his workbench. Then I need to work faster. His hands moved with precise skill over the small device he had built. I think I've figured out how to disable the tracking function without triggering the kill switch. Zara sat perfectly still as Alan attached his device to her collar. The alien woman had grown stronger over the past days. The bruises on her violet skin were fading, and her eyes seemed brighter. Even the glowing patterns on her skin pulsed with more energy. This will hurt, Alan warned. But if it works, they won't be able to find you through the collar anymore. Zara nodded. Do it. Alan activated his device. The collar's lights flashed rapidly, and Zara's body went rigid with pain. Olivia held her hand tightly as Zara fought not to scream. After 30 seconds that felt like hours, the collar's light settled into a steady, dim pattern. Did it work? Olivia asked. Alan checked his readings and smiled. The quantum link is broken. The tracking function is dead. He patted his device proudly. They can't find her through the collar now. Zara took a shaky breath. Thank you. Don't thank me yet, Alan said. That was the easy part. Disabling the pain function without killing you will be much harder. A sharp knock on the door made them all freeze. Alan motioned for Olivia and Zara to hide in the back room. Once they were out of sight, he approached the door cautiously. Who is it? He called. Alan Nguyen. This is Patrol Officer Maya Kent from Nova Haven Security. We're conducting a search of all outlying structures. Please open the door. Alan shot a worried glance toward the back room before opening the door. A woman in the gray uniform of Colony Security stood there with 2 armed officers behind her. Officer Kent, what a surprise, Alan said with forced cheerfulness. What brings Colony Security all the way out here? We're looking for an escaped alien criminal, Kent said, trying to look past him into the dome. An Azuri female, violet skin, dangerous. Have you seen anything unusual in the past few days? Just the usual forest wildlife, Alan said. And all those drones flying overhead. What did this alien do? Murdered her crew members and stole an escape pod, Kent replied. At least that's what the Azuri delegation told Governor Monroe. They're quite insistent on finding her. In the back room, Olivia and Zara listened tensely. Zara's face showed no reaction to the lies being told about her, but her hands clenched into fists. Well, I haven't seen any murderous aliens, Alan said, but I'll certainly call if I do. Kent studied him suspiciously. The Azuri say their tracking technology indicates she might be in this area. Mind if we take a look around? Before Alan could answer, a new voice spoke from behind the officers. That won't be necessary, Officer Kent. Mr. Nguyen is a known recluse. If he says he hasn't seen anything, I believe him. The officers parted to reveal a tall Azuri male with dark blue skin. He wore an elegant uniform with insignia that marked him as someone of high rank. Ambassador Vrendar, Kent said respectfully. I was just following protocol. The Azuri smiled, showing teeth that were slightly sharper than a human's. Of course. But we've received updated tracking data. The fugitive appears to be moving toward the eastern mountains. He turned to Alan. Forgive the intrusion, Mr. Nguyen. We'll trouble you no further. After the search party left, Alan waited several minutes before calling Olivia and Zara out of hiding. That was close, he said, but something doesn't make sense. Why would the ambassador lie about the tracking data? Zara's face showed rare emotion. Because that wasn't the ambassador. That was Drenmore. Your former master? Olivia asked in shock. How can you be sure? The scar on his left hand. The way he stands. And no Azuri of ambassador rank would lower themselves to join a search party. Zara's eyes narrowed. He's pretending to be an official diplomat to gain the colony's cooperation. Alan looked worried. But why would he send the search in the wrong direction? Because he wants to find me himself, Zara said grimly. If I'm turned over to proper authorities, questions might be asked. My crimes would be investigated. The council's secrets might be exposed. Drenmore cannot allow that. Olivia paced the small room. Then we need to expose him first. We need to tell Governor Monroe the truth. With what proof? Alan asked. It's our word against his, and right now the colony trusts the Azuri diplomats more than they trust me, or an alien fugitive. Zara touched her collar thoughtfully. There might be a way. If you could partially disable the neural dampener's pain function, I could use my natural telepathic abilities. I could show the governor the truth directly. Alan looked doubtful. I've been studying the dampener for days. It's incredibly complex. Trying to partially disable it without triggering the kill switch would be extremely dangerous. But possible? Zara pressed. Theoretically, Alan admitted. But we'd need a distraction to get you close to the governor. And if anything goes wrong with the collar, I'll die, Zara finished for him. I know the risk, Olivia shook her head. There has to be another way. A noise outside interrupted them. Alan rushed to the window. Someone's coming through the trees. Not security this time. They all tensed, ready to run or fight. But when the door opened, it was Samantha Wells who stood there, out of breath and wide-eyed. I knew it, she said, staring at Zara. I knew you were hiding something, Olivia. Samantha. I can explain, Olivia started. No time, Samantha cut her off. They're coming. The real Azuri delegation arrived an hour ago. The imposters have been exposed. They're searching for the alien they call Zaravex, and they know she's in this area. Zara stepped forward. How do you know my name? Because I was at the landing pad when the real ambassador arrived, Samantha said. He's looking for you too, but for a different reason. He says you're a hero, not a criminal. Hope flickered across Zara's face before the collar detected it and sent a shock through her body. She stumbled and Olivia caught her. We need to get that thing off her now, Olivia said to Alan. No more waiting. Alan nodded. I'll need to finish my bypass device. It might disable the pain function long enough for her to use her telepathic abilities. While Alan worked frantically, Samantha explained what had happened in the colony. The real Azuri delegation had arrived to warn Nova Haven about imposters using their diplomatic codes. A faction within the Azuri Dominion was trying to provoke a war with humans, and Zara was one of the few who had tried to stop them. The real ambassador said there's a revolution happening on the Azuri homeworld, Samantha finished. The old council is losing power. That's why Drenmore and his people are so desperate to find you, Zara. You know too much. Zara nodded. The collar prevents me from speaking freely about it, but yes, there are many among my people who do not want war. Done, Alan called triumphantly, holding up a small device. This should bypass the pain circuits for a short time, maybe 10 minutes. It won't remove the collar, but it will let you use your abilities. 10 minutes might be enough, Zara said. If we can reach the real ambassador. We'll never make it to the colony, Olivia pointed out. Drenmore's people are between us and there. Samantha smiled. We don't have to go to the colony. The ambassador's coming here. I told him where you were before I came to warn you. As if on cue, they heard the sound of vehicles approaching. Olivia looked out the window and saw several official colony transports stopping at the edge of the clearing. People began to emerge. Colony security officers, human officials, and several Azuri in formal attire. That's Governor Monroe, Olivia said, pointing to a stern-looking woman at the front. And those must be the real Azuri delegates. But behind the official group, more figures appeared from the trees. These wore the dark uniforms of Drenmore's false diplomatic team. They carried weapons, no longer bothering to hide their true intentions. Drenmore, Zara hissed, spotting her former master among them. He will not let me speak to the ambassador. Then we better hurry, Alan said, attaching his bypass device to Zara's collar. This is going to hurt at first, but then you should have full access to your abilities for a short time. Zara nodded. Do it, Alan activated the device. Zara's body arched in pain as the collar fought against the bypass. Then suddenly the lights on the collar dimmed and Zara straightened. Her eyes, always strange to human perception, now glowed with inner light. The patterns on her skin brightened until they shone like neon. It worked, she whispered, her voice stronger and clearer than they had ever heard it. I can feel my power returning. Outside, the two groups confronted each other. Governor Monroe stood between them, confused by the conflicting claims of the two Azuri factions. It's time, Olivia said, taking Zara's hand. Let's end this. Together, they walked out of Alan's dome and into the clearing, facing whatever fate awaited them. All eyes turned to Zara and Olivia as they emerged from Alan's dome. The clearing fell silent. Governor Monroe looked shocked at the sight of an Azuri standing beside one of her colonists. The real ambassador, a tall Azuri with silver-blue skin, stared at Zara with clear recognition. "Commander Zaraveks," he said, his voice carrying across the clearing. "We thought you were dead." Drenmore pushed forward, his face twisted with rage. "The traitor is my property by council decree. She must be returned to me immediately." "She belongs to no one," Olivia said firmly, standing protectively beside Zara. Zara stepped forward, her movements graceful and confident now that the collar's pain function was temporarily disabled. The patterns on her skin glowed brightly in the dim forest light. "Governor Monroe," she said, addressing the stern-faced woman directly, "I am Commander Zaraveks of the Azuri Elite Guard. I have been enslaved for speaking against war with humans. With your permission, I can show you the truth." Monroe looked uncertain. "Show me how." "My people are telepathic," Zara explained. "I can share memories directly with you. You will see everything as I saw it." "Don't listen to her," Drenmore shouted. "She's using mind control. That's how she escaped justice." The real ambassador stepped forward. "Governor, I am Ambassador Krelvor of the New Azuri Council. The man who calls himself Ambassador Vrendar is Captain Drenmore, a war criminal working for the old regime." Monroe looked between them, clearly unsure who to trust. "How do I know which of you is telling the truth?" "Let me show you," Zara said again, holding out her hand. "One touch is all I need." Drenmore suddenly raised a weapon. "This has gone far enough. The traitor comes with me or I'll order my men to open fire." Olivia moved in front of Zara without hesitation. "You'll have to go through me first." Something changed in Zara's expression as she looked at Olivia, a fierce protectiveness that hadn't been there before. Her eyes began to glow even brighter. "No more," she said quietly. Then she raised her hands. A wave of energy seemed to pulse from her body. Everyone in the clearing felt it, a mental pressure that made heads ache and vision blur. The colonists and real Azuri delegates looked confused, but Drenmore and his men dropped to their knees, clutching their heads in agony. "What's happening?" Monroe demanded. "She's using her telepathy," Ambassador Krelvor explained with awe. "She's targeting only those with guilty minds, those who know they are lying." Zara stepped past Olivia and approached Governor Monroe. "I can only hold them for moments. Please let me show you the truth." After a brief hesitation, Monroe nodded and took Zara's outstretched hand. The connection was immediate. Monroe gasped as images flooded her mind. Zara discovering secret council plans for attacking human colonies. Her arrest and sentencing. Months of slavery under Drenmore's cruel hand. The ship's destruction, Olivia finding and helping her. Alan working to disable the collar. And through it all, the constant fear that war would begin before she could warn anyone. When Zara finally released her hand, Monroe looked shaken. "I see," she said quietly. Then with new resolve, she turned to her security team. "Arrest those men. They are imposters and enemies of both our peoples." Drenmore, still struggling against Zara's mental assault, snarled with rage. "This isn't over, Zaraveks." With unexpected speed, he raised his weapon again, aiming not at Zara but at Olivia. Zara saw it happening. Time seemed to slow. She could use her telepathy to stop him, but that would mean releasing her hold on his men who would then attack. Or she could protect Olivia directly. There was no choice to make. Zara threw herself in front of Olivia as Drenmore fired. The energy blast struck her squarely in the chest. She fell backward into Olivia's arms, the glowing patterns on her skin flickering wildly. "Zara!" Olivia cried, lowering her gently to the ground. "No, please no!" Colony security officers tackled Drenmore and his men. The clearing erupted in chaos. But for Olivia, the world had narrowed to just Zara's face, growing paler by the second. "Why?" Olivia asked, tears flowing freely. "Why did you do that?" Zara smiled weakly. "Because you saved me first." Her hand reached up to touch Olivia's cheek. "Not just my life, my soul." The collar around Zara's neck began to pulse with angry red light. Alan pushed through the crowd and knelt beside them. "The bypass is failing," he said urgently, "and the collar is detecting her critical condition. It's activating the kill switch." Ambassador Krelvor joined them, his face grave. "The collar must be removed immediately or she will die. But removing it will kill her too," Olivia said desperately. "That's what she told us." "Not necessarily," the ambassador said. "I brought something with me." He held up a small device. "This is a master key for neural dampeners. We've been using them to free slaves since the revolution began. It can safely disengage the collar, but only if we act quickly. Alan examined the device. It might work, but her injury complicates things. The collar is integrated with her nervous system. Removing it while she's in shock could cause a fatal cascade failure. What can we do? Olivia asked, still cradling Zara's head. The ambassador looked at her intently. There is one possibility. A mind link during the removal process. Someone to stabilize her consciousness while the physical connection is severed. I'll do it, Olivia said without hesitation. It must be someone she trusts completely, the ambassador warned. Someone with whom she has already formed a bond. And it will be dangerous for you too. If her mind fails during the process, yours could be damaged as well. Olivia looked down at Zara, whose breathing was becoming shallow. I don't care about the risk. Tell me what to do. Under the ambassador's guidance, Olivia placed her hands on either side of Zara's face. Zara's eyes, dimming now, locked onto hers. Hold on to me, Olivia whispered. Don't let go. The ambassador positioned his device against the collar while Alan monitored Zara's vital signs. Now, the ambassador said, activating the key. The collar made a high-pitched whine. Zara's body tensed, her back arching in pain. Olivia felt a strange sensation, as if her mind was stretching, reaching out to wrap around Zara's consciousness. Suddenly, she wasn't in the clearing anymore. She stood in a vast star-filled space. Before her was Zara, but not as she had known her. This Zara was free of wounds and collar, her skin glowing with vibrant patterns, her eyes bright with inner light. Olivia, Zara's voice echoed in this mental realm. You came for me. I'll always come for you, Olivia replied. We need to go back. You're injured. The collar is killing me, Zara finished. I can feel it shutting down my body systems one by one. Fight it, Olivia urged. The ambassador is removing the collar. You just need to hold on. Zara shook her head sadly. I'm not sure I can. The damage is too great. Then I'll hold on for both of us. Olivia reached out and took Zara's hands. You saved me from Drenmore's weapon. Now let me save you from this. In the physical world, the ambassador's device finally broke through the collar's security protocols. The metal band split open with a sharp crack. Alan carefully removed it from Zara's neck, revealing raw, damaged skin beneath. Her vitals are crashing, he reported grimly. We're losing her. In the mental realm, Olivia felt Zara's presence fading. The star-filled space began to darken. Stay with me, Olivia pleaded. Please, Zara, I need you. Zara looked at her with infinite sadness. Why would you need me? Our worlds are so different. Because you showed me courage I didn't know existed. Because you risked everything to prevent a war that would have killed millions. Olivia's grip on Zara's hands tightened. Because in just a few days you've become the most important person in my life. Something shifted in the mental landscape. The darkness retreated slightly. Zara's form became more solid. What is this feeling? Zara asked, wonder in her voice. I think humans call it love, Olivia said simply. Zara's eyes widened. Then slowly she smiled, a real smile untainted by pain or fear. I think Azuri call it the same thing. The star-filled space around them pulsed with sudden light. Streams of energy flowed between their joined hands, and Olivia felt a surge of strength passing from her to Zara. In the clearing, Alan gasped. Her vitals are stabilizing. I don't know how, but she's fighting back. The ambassador watched in amazement as the wound on Zara's chest began to heal, the damaged tissue knitting together faster than should have been possible. The patterns on her skin, which had been fading, now glowed with renewed intensity. A life bond, he whispered. I've only heard stories. Olivia and Zara both opened their eyes at the same moment. For a second, Olivia's eyes glowed with the same inner light as Zara's before returning to normal. You're alive, Olivia said, joy flooding her voice. Zara reached up to touch her neck, now free of the collar that had enslaved her for so long. Because of you. Governor Monroe stepped forward, having watched the entire scene unfold. I believe we have much to discuss, Commander Zarovex, and it seems we owe you and Ms. Reese a great debt. The ambassador nodded. Indeed. You have exposed traitors and prevented a war that would have devastated both our peoples. 1 month later, Olivia stood on the observation deck of the newly commissioned diplomatic vessel, Freedom's Dawn. The ship represented a new era of cooperation between humans and Azuri, combining technologies from both species. As Chief Liaison Officer, Olivia would help coordinate joint scientific and exploration missions.